Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, honored guests, graduates. Stacey Allaster is that rare combination of a passionate sportswoman with the business acumen to drive her sport to new heights. During her 20-plus years in professional women's tennis, Stacy has built the sport from a sideshow to glamorous men's events to a major attraction in its own right, attracting millions in sponsorship dollars. In the process, she has created opportunities for players that were never dreamt of 25 years ago. As tennis legend Billie Jean King remarked, she's a terrific businesswoman. She can secure dollars and people listen to her. We had no money and now women are playing for millions. Stacy holds a BA in economics and physical education from Western and an MBA from the Ivy Business School. As a standout on the Western Women's Championship tennis team during the mid-'80s, she represents the best of Western's liberal arts education, business training, and athletics programs. After graduating from Western, Stacy began her business career with the Ontario Tennis Association as Director of Marketing and Player Development. From 1991 to 2005, she served Tennis Canada in various senior roles, helping to create a state-of-the-art facility at York University and build the Canadian Open into an international sports and entertainment property, and in so doing, increase the net profit of the event by 300%. During this period, Stacy was instrumental in achieving equal prize money for women and men at several major tournaments such as Wimbledon and Roland Garros, and launched the first ever combined rights agreement for improved television and digital coverage. She joined the Women's Tennis Association in 2006 as president and became chairman and chief executive officer in 2009. Taking the reins in the midst of a global economic crisis, Stacy barely paused to take a breath. Under her leadership, the WTA signed several lucrative sponsorship deals, increased prize money by 70% between 2009 and 2013, negotiated the largest international television distribution deal in WTA history, resulting in a 400% increase in hours of coverage, and expanded into high-potential markets in Asia, including the largest deal in the WTA's history. At the same time, she built strong relationships with the players. As Venus Williams, chair of the Players' Council, stated, Stacy understands players incredibly well, most importantly when it comes to player health and player marketing. She has worked effectively with players by working in collaboration with us and our tournament partners to advance our collective interests and those of our fans and partners. Today, the WTA holds nearly 60 events in 33 countries and awards more than $118 million in prize money. More than 5.4 million people attended women's tennis events in 2013, an unprecedented number for women's professional tennis, and millions more watched on televisions and digital channels around the world. In fact, the digital social media footprint of the WTA is more than 70 million fans, ranking above the ATP, NHL, PGA, MSL, and WNBA. It is no wonder that Forbes magazine selected Stacey Allaster as one of the top most powerful women in sport in 2011. Stacy's career reflects some important changes in women's sport at Western and beyond. Just as women tennis players once competed for prizes much smaller than their male counterparts, women's teams at Western were once limited, underfunded, and under-celebrated in elevating the women's game in professional tennis. Stacy is indeed a pioneer and an inspiration to Western's women athletes and coaches. She reminds us that the experience of varsity athletics can have a powerful impact on young women at the beginning of their careers and demonstrates how far women's sport has come. Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor and in the name of the Senate, I ask you to confer the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa upon Stacey Allaster.
By virtue of the authority vested in me as Chancellor, I admit you to the degree Doctor of Laws honoris causa. Congratulations, Dr. Allister. On behalf of all assembled here today, I should now like to invite our newest alumna, Dr. Stacey Allaster, to address Convocation.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, faculty members, fellow alumni, thank you for this distinguished honor and for providing me with an opportunity to bring my kids, Jack and Alex, home to Western. This is an incredibly special moment for me. Quite overwhelming walking into Alumni Hall, seeing the class of 2014 with so many strong and confident young women. Let me begin by congratulating you, the next leaders of our country. I'd also like to congratulate all your family and friends who are here to celebrate with you and your faculty members. You've made it. In 2000, when I graduated from Ivy, I said to my husband, John, that perhaps one day I'd like to get a law degree. And he said, after a long pause, after 2 years of doing your MBA and working full-time at Tennis Canada, you'll be getting that law degree with a different husband. So today is perfect. I have the law degree I wanted, and I have that original perfect husband, John. He has been my mixed doubles partner in life. I hope you too can find one like John. He supported me throughout my career and is a role model for the perfect modern family man. Along with John, to be a Made in Canada leader who got her start right here at Western, I've been successful because of my parents, my step-parents, friends, and in particular, my mother, who was a healthcare professional, who sacrificed her entire life for me and for my sister. I'd like you to join me in dedicating this award to her. I'm not going to look over there right now. So over the past few months, as I've reflected upon my thoughts for this speech, one thing in particular has taken center court. If in 1985 and in 2000, I had the same knowledge and experience that I have today, wow, it would have been a lot easier. So with this in mind, I thought I'd share with you a few of my key learnings on how I built upon this wonderful education that you have from Western to land my absolute dream job, And hopefully, by providing you with these insights, it'll give you a little guidance as you set out on your journey to fulfill your dreams. Now, this is going to sound really simple. If you remember one thing, keep it simple. It is a very complex world, and those that can keep it simple and not sweat the small stuff, you will not have as many gray hairs as I do. There's so much drama out there. Just let it go. And we're all driven. We want to do the very best, but just let the small stuff go. I often speak to graduates and those that are earlier in their career, and my advice is always the same. You own your destiny. Although you have family and friends and coaches and a network to support you, ultimately, your success is 100% dependent on you. And you will have moments where you'll say, well, that's not fair. The company should do this for me. At the end of the day, it's all up to you. I encourage you to have the courage to define your independence and dream big. Be comfortable with who you are. Don't let someone try to make you something you're not. Push yourself outside your comfort zone, break the mold, and be a trailblazer. After all, we're Western Mustangs. And along the way, it will be competitive, but I encourage you to lift up your colleagues. Nice people do finish first. And above all, as Karen read out my accomplishments, how did all of that happen? I love what I do. This is a short life. I know right now you guys think you've got a long horizon, but you'll be amazed how it all goes so quickly. You've got to find your passion, and that's been my success. You spent the last 3 to 4 years focused on classes and grades. One of the great things about today, you get to leave the core curriculum behind. In the words of Jon Stewart, the truly exciting thing about your life is that there is no core curriculum. The entire world is an elective. Today is your starting point, or in my world, the first set. You've practiced, you've trained, you're warmed up, it's time to play. And as you prepare for this game of life, I'd like to ask you 2 simple questions. Do you think of yourself as special? And do you feel special? I would hope that all of you say you are. However, this month, there are thousands of special people graduating across the country. So how will you differentiate yourself? How will you win the first set and the match? For the past 15 plus years, you've been measured by your test scores. Based on my experience, I can honestly say that your transcript does not accurately depict your future success. I know to get this degree, they had to look at my transcript, and it's okay. But, I wasn't at that end of the curve. The transcript does not say how smart you'll be within your chosen career or how good you will be at helping people feel better. Now, I don't want anyone to get the impression that test scores are not important. Jack and Alex, you got that? They do have an impact on your career, and you would be amazed, even at the stage in my career, that transcript follows you. So they are important. But in 1905, when the French psychologist Alfred Binet invented the first IQ test, his research validated my point. It's not always the people who start out the smartest who end up the smartest. There's one dimension of intelligence that I wish I had learned much earlier in my life and in my career. And I would say in our academic institutions, we need to spend more time on this dimension of intelligence, and that is social and emotional intelligence, which is as equally important, if not more important. And the simplest way to think about it, think about the toonie. It has 2 sides. And there's 2 sides to everything. The better you are at listening and feeling and thinking, full circle, the better off you will be able to navigate through life's challenges and achieve your goals. Unfortunately, your past success is no guarantee of future. But fortunately, there are many paths to success. For me, it was all about potential, attitude, and as my mother will attest, I was relentless at wanting to win. In a sea of qualified colleagues, your effort, your determination, your creativity will define you as being truly special. There were many throughout my journey who stated that I wasn't special. They told me I wasn't tall enough, or strategic enough, or that I didn't have a big enough brand for the international stage. And the more I heard that criticism, the more it fired me up to prove them wrong. You've heard that this is just the beginning and that learning is a lifelong journey. Our academic foundation here at Western has prepared us to be champions, but yet there will be setbacks and failures along the way, and I have had my fair share of both. It may surprise you to know that Tennis Canada turned me down 3 times before they gave me a job. I learned that through life there is never a straight or smooth path, and if you can just get your foot in the door, any door, you can make adjustments, and you can end up the chairman and CEO of the #1 professional sport in the world. And when the WTA chairman and CEO position was available in 2009, Karen made it sound so easy that they just pointed it to me. I was the incumbent, but they didn't give me the automatic nod. The board launched an international search. They interviewed 21 other candidates. Now, I could interpret that 2 ways. That's good governance, and on a reflection, it is good governance. Or they just don't want me. So I had 2 choices. Become deflated over that process, that's not fair, or take on the challenge, play the interview game, and win. And that I did. In a few weeks, I'll celebrate my 5th year as the WTA's CEO. Every single day now is about rising to the challenge, to exceed expectations, and to show everyone that I am more than qualified for the position. What I accomplished yesterday is irrelevant. The only thing that matters is what I will deliver together with my incredible WTA team tomorrow and for the years forward. Failure and rejection are inevitable. How you deal with the suffering is all up to you. Smart failure is a must. And I suggest you get comfortable with ambiguity. I'm not good in gray. I like it black and white, my husband will tell you. But there's a lot of gray in life and in business. So it would be great if you could learn from those experiences. It's the only way you'll reach your potential, and be on the lookout for those coaches who will inspire you to be special. I continue to be grateful to my tennis coaches, Helen Luckman, who's here today, and Dutchie Doer. Where's Dutchie? Where's Dutch? There's Dutch. Dutchie, who gave me and is responsible for my tennis career, provided me with an introduction to the sports marketing industry. Both Dutchie and Helen were instrumental in shaping my growth mindset, teaching me to believe I could do anything, and always encouraged me to push the limits, whether it was the first set, the second set, the third set, or I was trying to close a match with that suspect forehand and a sparky first serve. Thank you, Helen and Dutch. There are many things that I'm excited about today, and perhaps the most exciting thing right now is that you hold the power to make a difference in people's lives, not only in our country, in our world. I challenge you to be the generation to eradicate gender bias and inequality. When I sat where you are sitting today, I did not believe that my gender would limit my success. I believed I would be successful based on my results. And for a good 8 to 10 years, with this mindset, it worked. And then I started to crash into the glass ceiling. I wish it did not exist today, but I look forward to all of you smashing through it. Our country is in trouble. For years, there has been a dearth of women in leadership positions across Canada. In the past few years, progress has been made, but it has stalled. Given that we have more than enough qualified women to fill half of these positions, the numbers do not make sense. What you may or may not know, 90% of businesses, approximately 80% of government, are run by men, despite women making up 47% of Canada's workforce. And across Financial Post 500 companies, women hold only 14.5% of board seats, and a mere 2% of public companies have CEOs. And almost half of the companies do not have one single female director. And not only do we have leadership gaps, we still have a significant earnings gap. Globally, a woman earns just 1/10 of a man's pay. Even in Canada, the average earnings gap is a staggering 26% between men and women. What can I do? What can you do to get us to that critical mass tipping point in order to garner meaningful change? The game changer is that parity is not a women's issue. It's an economic issue that affects Canada's competitiveness and prosperity, and a societal issue that must be solved by you, the men and women here in Alumni Hall, working together. The challenge I'll give you is, let's start the process at the beginning, with children. Today, when a little boy is born, we hear people say he will be strong, confident, the next Prime Minister of Canada. When a little girl is born, we call her sweet and cute and a princess. We don't send messages to her that she, in fact, may be our next Prime Minister. Let's stop discouraging girls from leading. When a boy asserts himself, he's called a leader. When a girl does the same, she's bossy, a precursor to words like aggressive and too competitive and too ambitious, the same words often used to describe female leaders like me, Billie Jean King. The effect that this behavior has reduces a little girl's interest in leadership roles as early as middle school, a trend that continues into their adulthood and dramatically reduces the number of women at the top. Together, we can teach ourselves, we can teach our kids that it's acceptable for girls to be strong and confident because they are equal. Within the tennis world, what should be a non-event has turned into quite an event. Britain's #1 male player, Andy Murray, last week appointed Amelie Mauresmo as his coach. A woman coaching a man in professional tennis is literally unheard of. Andy's decision to go with Amelie has nothing to do with her gender and everything to do with her ability to help him win more titles. Thank you, Andy, for leading exactly the type of social change that will ultimately eradicate gender bias. I would bet Andy's mom, Judy Murray, played a role in her son's progressive thinking. One of her recent speeches, she characterized women in the following manner: women are like snowflakes. We float around, we look pretty, we hit a wall, and we melt away. But if we stick together, we can form a snowball. And we know snowballs can cause trouble. As uncomfortable as it may feel, and I did not want to accept that there was gender bias, it's there. Action needs to be taken. Our voices need to be heard. Let's create a Canadian winter storm of trouble. All of you have the opportunity to empower women, to empower men, to shape our society to treat everyone equally. As you move forward, I challenge you to think, speak, act in a manner that will work to achieve these goals. My generation is counting on you, and so too are Alexandra and Jack. When I entered Western as an undergrad, Pierre Elliott Trudeau was our Prime Minister. He said something back then that captures how I feel today and what I wish for everyone in this room. Here we go. Our hopes are high, our faith in the people is great, our courage is strong, and our dreams for this beautiful country will never die. As you build your careers, keep your eye on your goals, and never lose focus of your moral compass. It's not what you get, it's what you give. And those are the profound words of my hero, Billie Jean King, that guide my own journey. And for those who have chosen the health profession, we are very grateful for your selflessness. And maybe one day I'll be a patient, and please take good care of me. And now that I'm an honorary member of the Doctor Club, I'd like to finish with a quote from one of my favorite books, a book that I suspect the majority of you have read, and you will read again. It is titled, "Oh, the Places You Will Go," by Dr. Seuss. So, be sure when you step with care and great tact, and remember that life's a great balancing act. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. I know you will succeed, and I believe you are all special. You are graduates of the finest university in the country, and you are made in Canada. As Canadians, we are peacekeepers, we are harmonious, and we are collaborators. Naturally, we make great leaders who will make a difference. Thank you. I look forward to watching all of you achieve your success and making our world a better place for generations to come. Good luck.